Hey, so we are here for the graphing video. Yay! I don't know about you guys. I like graphing. It's fun. We're just plotting points and talking about the different aspects of the graph, so it's not going to be too terrible at this moment. Yay! And then, yeah, we'll see how you guys like it. So here is the 11.1 screen. And you can see that this section is called plotting points on a rectangular coordinate system. So all this picture is a rectangular coordinate system. That's what it is. And I want to label a few things before we get started. So we have the x-axis, which goes horizontally, and we have the y-axis, which goes vertically. And all of these points here are written in the form xy. So the x coordinate is given first and the y coordinate is given second. And I just want to kind of give you a heads up of what you're going to see on the homework because it doesn't look exactly like this because you're going to actually be clicking instead of drawing. But basically, it'll have a point just sitting on the graph and it will say, like, for example, a plot for 2. So what you're gonna have to do is click on this. I'll draw a little arrow, pretend I'm your mouse. You're gonna click on it and you're gonna move it to the actual location. So it's gonna start off in the wrong spot and you're just gonna click on the button, hold it and move the dot to where you want it and then let go of the mouse. And so for the first point, we have the point 4, 2. And so we're gonna go on the x-axis because x comes first. We're gonna count over 1, and I'm going to draw this, but I'm going to erase it because I don't actually want you to write this out. This is just what you're doing with your pen. I just know it's hard to see my pen because I'm over here on the other side of the computer. So you're going to start at 0 and you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to count up 1, 2. And that is where the dot, that is where your point goes. So all this counting business, that goes away. And we just want that point left over. And since I'm going to be doing 7 points on this graph, I'm just going to call this A. So later when you go back and you want to check your notes or look at something, you can remember which point was which. Okay, next up, 6, 0. So I'm going to go over 6 on the x-axis. And one thing I wanted to point out was this is just a number line. So the positive numbers go to the right, the negative numbers go to the left. And so if I have a positive 6, I'm going to count over 6 spaces, which is going to put me here. I just put a little mark there. But notice the y coordinate is 0. So I don't move up or down. I just stay right here at the 6. So this is the point 6, 0. The biggest mistake I see people do is get the letters backwards. They do the Y and then they do the X and their picture turns out sideways. And so just remember it goes in alphabetical order. X comes before Y in the alphabet. X comes before Y when you're plotting points. So for C, it says we're going to go over 2 because the X is 2. And then it says -4. So if your choices are up or down, which way do you think -4 goes? Well, you could even see, given the numbers that are listed here, that the negatives go down. So we're going to go down 4 and put a dot there. And remember, we don't want those little squiggles. That is just to help you see what my pen is doing because we are not in person. And I don't think you can see my little cursor. I don't know, maybe you can see this. I'll just pretend that you can see this for a minute and then I'll watch the video later and see if I'm right. So I go over 1, 2, and I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I end up at C. All right, well, I'm getting rid of my mouse because I don't know if you could actually see that anyways. All right, for D, we start with a -2. So remember on the x-axis, negatives go to the left. So I'm going to go left 2. And then up and down, -5 is going to go down. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I end up right there at -5. and that was D, so I'll put a D there. So if you're getting the hang of this, you know, like I always say, pause the video and just go ahead and finish it and see if you could do it without me. That's the goal, is just to do all this without me. But if you're still struggling, or maybe you did pause the video and you're back because you want to double check your answers, let's go ahead and finish this up. So we have E is going to go left 7 because it's a negative. So negative 5, 6, 7. I'm just kind of jump starting that counting. And then down 4 because it's a negative. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where my dot goes. Oh, I might have done this. I might accidentally erase my dot. Yep, I did. I messed up my drawing, but there we go. There's E. Now F has that 0 first. So in other words, we are not moving right or left. All we're gonna do is move up 7 because that 7 comes second. So I'm gonna go up to 5, 6, 7, and that is where F goes. And finally, negative 5, 4. It's nice when you can kind of jump to the numbers already given, so they already show you where negative 5 is. And then I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to end up with G right here. And that is how you plot points. You're not drawing these on the homework. You're just going to take the picture and you're going to grab the dot with your mouse and you're going to move it where it should go, which is probably pretty similar to early on in chapter 4 when you're doing number line questions. It's just now it's 2-dimensional. All right, so I'm going to talk about number 2, but I want to use this picture first, so I'm going to leave it right here. And what we have on this picture are quadrants. I'm going to write out that word actually. So that's what we're talking about on number 2. You can see that in the instructions right there. But quadrant is basically meanings to, not, I was gonna write break, but I think split would be a better word because we're not breaking anything. But you know what, my B doesn't want to erase, so I guess break is the word we're gonna use. Break the graph into 4 parts. And the 4 comes from that prefix right there, quad, which means 4. And we write quadrants in Roman numerals. So I'm going to draw it right here on this graph, but you can see the thick black lines, the X and Y axis already cuts our graph into 4 pieces. So I'm going to start where everything is positive. So this right here is going to be quadrant 1. And then I go counterclockwise. So next step is going to be where the G is. This whole area, this whole section is going to be quadrant 2. And the whole bottom left section is going to be quadrant 3. That's just, my Q's are just weird. That's just a Q, but then the Roman numeral 3. And then this whole bottom right section is going to be quadrant 4. And that's it. We have our 4 quadrants. So you start with 1 where everything's positive. Like look at A, for example. For example, A was, everything was positive. And then we go counterclockwise, 2, 3, and 4. So make sure you have that written down in red. I'm going to scroll down, so you're not going to be able to see that, or scroll up. I don't know which way I'm scrolling, but that's what we're using, those red numbers. That's what we're using for our answers. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to draw a little sketch here so I can do it. We have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So we just want to know where it is. So I'm going to just draw it in blue, but notice I don't have an actual coordinate plane. I just have my little sketch in red. So I just want to see where this ends up. And so if I go -2, -2, I'm going to the left and then I'm going down. And so that would be somewhere here. That's probably not where it is, but it's somewhere in that section. So this one is quadrant 3. Since it's hard to type Roman numerals on the homework, I'm going to guess that this is a multiple choice question and they give you the 4 quadrants written out and you just click on the right answer. Okay, B, everything's positive, so I'm going to go right and I'm going to go up. I'm going to land somewhere in quadrant 1. C, I start off negative, so I go to the left, and then I go positive, which is up, so I end up in quadrant 2. D, I start off positive, which is to the right, and then I go negative, which is down, so I will end up in quadrant 4. And finally, C and E are similar because I start off negative as my first number, and then I have positive as my second number, so they're going to have the same answer, quadrant 2. All right, last page. Identify points on a graph. So this one, they already have the point and you have to write it out. And let me tell you, of every section in all of these homework assignments, I guarantee this is the one I always get the most questions on. And the reason I get the most questions on it is because you know how to do it for the most part. Like a lot of you are pretty comfortable with this and you're pretty confident in your answer, and you actually end up typing it in wrong, which leads to the wrong answer. So then you say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Why am I getting it wrong? What's going on? So what I wanted to point out, in fact, I'm going to scroll back just real quick. Look at all of the choices for number 2, and look at all of the choices for number 1. Look at how they're written. They start and end with a parenthesis, and they have a comma in between. And that is what people forget to do. So when you're typing up your answer, you need, no matter which answer this is, all of them are going to start with a parenthesis, end with a parenthesis, and have a comma in between. So I'm just going to write a little note for you. Now, hopefully, you're just going to go do your homework right now anyway, so you won't forget. But I'm just going to write, don't forget parentheses. That is why people get these problems wrong. Occasionally, they mix up the numbers. Occasionally, there's a typo, but the main reason is forgetting parentheses. All right, so let's just go ahead and finish up these problems here. So for A, I notice A is right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how far over. So left, 5. That would be a -5. And then how far up? Well, I didn't go up at all. I'm right there on the line, so that would be 0. Because that's exactly how you would type it into your calc or to the homework program. Parenthesis, -5, comma, 0, end parenthesis. Okay, for B, let's go to B, is up here. So first I'm going to count how far over. So it looks like we could go over 5. So I'll just write that down. And then I go up 5, 6. So I'm going up 6. Up is positive. So the answer is 5, 6 with those parentheses. See, even when I read it, I would just say 5, 6 when I write it. I wouldn't say necessarily parentheses. So I get why people forget to type them, but I'm just warning you, the computer doesn't like it. So make sure you put those parentheses in there. Okay, C, we're going to go over left 4. So that would be a -4. And then up 5. Since it's up, it's positive. And again, just like number 1, if you're getting the hang of this, stop the video, do them all, and kind of fast forward to the end to see what the answers are to make sure you're doing them right. I'm going to go left 2. No, I'm not. I'm going right 2, up 2. Everything's positive, so I have 2, 2. For E, I'm starting off going right 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then I'm going down 4. So the right is going to be a +3. The down is going to be a -4. Left and right is always first. Up and down is always second or last. All right, F, I'm going all the way over here. So that's 5, 6, 7 to the left, -7. And then down to -5 with my parentheses. And the last one, G, I don't go over at all. Look at it's right here. It's straight down. I don't go right or left. So it starts off with a 0 and then I go down 3. So that is a -3. All right, short video. I just wanted to keep this separate from the perimeter because it's a totally different topic. The test 3 is going to be on all of these topics since chapter 7. So this whole packet, I think it was, 15 pages. So have these handy. You'll notice, you've noticed as we go along, sometimes your calculator is very helpful, like the square roots. Sometimes your calculator is completely useless, like this last problem. There's no way to use a calculator for that. It's always good to have it handy. We've done a lot of formulas in this section, so make sure you have some sort of notation. Either put a little sticky flag in your notes where the formulas are, or just write a whole separate sheet of paper with just the formulas so it's easy to have handy, because the tests do have a time limit of 1 hour. And so I just don't want you wasting your time flipping through sections looking for some formula. So keep all that handy. If you have any questions, either about the test or about anything you've seen here, email me, and don't forget the parentheses. All right, thank you very much.